So I am so grateful to be serving as Harris County Commissioner for Precinct 4. And the truth is, this is a complete unexpected blessing. I'm Latina. I grew up in South Texas on the US-Mexico border. I'm the proud daughter of teachers. I never, ever thought I'd run for office or serve in a position like this, so it really has been a blessing. I'm a lawyer, worked at a firm, and then I helped lead a national nonprofit for about 8 years as the general counsel and chief operations officer. Then I became a judge, and that's when I was appointed, but then I had to start running. And so that's how I got into this world of politics and running for office. But really what moves me, I don't even like politics, but what moves me is people and community and public policy and service. And I'm the proud mom of 3 little girls, and they're my why, right? We have to leave this world a better place for our children. It was unbelievable that I took office in 23. That was the first mom ever elected in her own right in the 3rd largest county in the country. So it affects everything I do, because I believe we all have a moral obligation to leave this world better for future generations. And as a mom, those future generations are who I go home to every night, right? So my children and all of our children, we need to make sure we're leaving this world better than we found it. So that ranges a whole host of activities. So one is the childcare investments that you mentioned. This was thanks to President Biden and VP Harris that we had the federal ARPA dollars to invest in childcare, because normally the county budget does not have that freedom and flexibility. So we know that when we educate our babies and young toddlers and children, they're set off to a better educational future, better employment future, etc. And it helps folks who, especially moms, get back to work, right? Because childcare costs are incredibly expensive, and there's not enough slots or high quality slots. It also affects how I think about our environmental justice work, right? We need to leave this world better and safer and cleaner for our children. To start with the FEMA, again, talk about unconscionable, that we are seeing these cuts drastically to FEMA and as well to the National Weather Service. And here in Harris County, all of us have a deep, intimate experience with the effects of these disasters. And just, for instance, last year in 2024 with the Derecho and Beryl, FEMA released over $75 million to Harris County, to many of our affected vulnerable communities. So the thought that the federal government will not be here to help reinforce what the local, we're going to work hard, we're doubling down, and I'll tell you what we're doing here. But the fact that us as federal taxpayers, our federal government may not show up the way they have for decades is unconscionable. And so what we're doing, and also it's not just FEMA, it's the Small Business Administration that was here right after the disasters last year. FEMA, even the director of FEMA came. And so it's deeply concerning. So again, we're focusing on what we can control, which is what we're doing as a Harris County and specifically Precinct 4. So what we've been doing is, number one, having education workshops throughout our precinct and also working very closely with our places of worship. We actually yesterday just had an African American faith leaders breakfast. So just so we can continue deepening our partnerships with various churches. As we know, they're at the front lines and they're trusted ambassadors. So we're having these educational sessions. We've also been partnering with a variety of organizations so that we have water, ice, and non-perishable food ready to deploy, because Texas Department of Emergency Management comes in 72 hours, but we know that 72 hours is too long. So we have our community centers are ready to be activated as distribution centers, as cooling centers, and my team has been preparing. We're continuously cleaning ditches so that we know so that there's not the debris, right? So we know that there's a capacity for the water and then that conveyance of the water. So we're taking various actions to work together. We've also been, thanks to the generosity of community members, we started this program to give away portable AC units because we know so many in our vulnerable communities. Applications are still open. I'm not sure when this is going live, but we welcome folks to apply. So I can go on, but there's just numerous actions we're trying to take to, we luckily have a meteorologist in Harris County Flood Control who's an expert, because again, the cuts to the National Weather Service are unacceptable. We need that data, we need that science to prepare. So the legacy, I believe this seat is the people's seat. And the most rewarding thing has been going into our communities, and people are being listened to, and then we go back to them to communicate how we listened and then how we're delivering basically what they asked for. So I hope my legacy is showing that the government can work, and it can especially work for communities that have long been not listened to and underserved. And just delivering good government in a way that is focused on equity, in a way that is focused on advancing justice and opportunity. That is my hope, and that the people know that it's the people's government, that we're just fiduciaries who have been given opportunities to serve, but this is the people's government, and the people's voices are what's driving the progress and change. Well, thank you, and everything that the Houston Defender team does to educate and empower our community, so thank you.